Tonight, we gently step into the past, to a world long forgotten, where life moved slower and nights were quieter, comma. Take a deep breath and let the present fade as we step into another time.
Tonight, we explore 300 quiet moments from history.
In a distant age, the world was a very different place. The sun rose softly over the broad Roman Forum. Morning light spilled gently between the marble columns. Vendors began to arrange their stalls with care. Fresh fruits gleamed under the blooming orange trees. The scent of warm bread drifted from nearby shops.
A cool breeze rustled through the olive leaves nearby.
People moved with calm steps along paved stones. Children's laughter floated faintly across the morning calm. Women swept the thresholds of their simple homes. Humming softly, they tended herbs for daily meals.
An older man slowly adjusted his simple tunic.
Cats stretched lazily in the quiet corners of alleys. The baker's hands kneaded dough with steady patience. Wood smoke curled faintly from chimneys in the distance.
A merchant carefully arranged small jars of honey.
The marketplace offered a rhythmic hum of soft voices. Servants carried water in clay pots from the well. Light shimmered in pools within the stone fountains. A bird sang tenderly from the top of a cypress. The aroma of olives mingled with ripening figs. Men sat on benches, sharing quiet words and smiles. The sound of sandals brushing stone was constant and calm. A potter's wheel turned slowly in a shaded corner. Soft music from a lyre floated through the street. Threads of tapestry caught in a gentle midsummer breeze. Nearby, a carpenter measured wood with careful hands. Laundry swayed gently on lines strung between posts. Old wives gathered herbs in baskets for evening stews. A young woman hummed a lullaby to her sleeping child. Lanterns waited patiently for twilight's approaching hush. Clay oil lamps flickered softly in the baker's window. The smell of roasted chestnuts mingled with fresh grain. A man tuned his pipe with slow, steady movements. The distant hum of a river mingled with the marketplace. A small dog curled beside its master's worn sandals. Sunlight warmed the cracked walls of humble homes. Forge sparks were faint and rare at this peaceful time. Quiet footsteps echoed gently down narrow, winding alleys. A woven basket was filled with ripe, juicy grapes. Vendors whispered softly about the coming market day. Street artists drew faint lines on smooth parchment. The smell of wildflowers drifted softly from the meadow. Farmers exchanged slow nods by the city's open gates. A woman carefully pounded herbs for a soothing balm. A shepherd guided his flock through the grassy fields. The shimmering surface of a pond reflected soft clouds. Toward noon, the sun climbed higher, a warm embrace.
Quiet conversations blended with the rustling of robes.
A fisherman cleaned nets with slow and steady hands. The bustle was muted by the surrounding hills and trees.
An elder read from scrolls beneath a spreading fig tree.
Children played gently with wooden tops near the fountain. Lemon trees offered pale shadows for those seeking rest. A woman's soft laughter rose and fell with the breeze. Tiles on rooftops glowed faintly in the brightening light. Stone benches invited passers-by to pause and breathe. We now drift slowly to the warmth of a baker's morning. Dawn broke over the small bakery with a tender light. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of fresh dough. The baker's hands moved with a steady, practiced rhythm. Flour dusted the wooden table in gentle clouds. Soft sounds of kneading mixed with a hum of waking streets. Firewood crackled faintly in the brick oven's heart. The baker shaped loaves with calm, assured movements. Windows steamed lightly from the warmth inside the shop. Outside, birds chirped quietly from olive branches above. The baker wiped brow with a linen cloth. Slow breaths. A cat with mottled fur napped near the oven's base. The smell of baking bread drew neighbors to nearby doorways. The sunrise painted walls with mellow gold and pink hues. Simple wooden shelves held loaves, cool to a perfect touch. A young girl helped wrap bread in faded cloth bundles. The baker's voice was low as he spoke to his helper. A gentle breeze fluttered paper tied to a nearby sign. Footsteps echoed softly on cobblestones as the town stirred. A mother passed with an infant wrapped close and warm. The market's soft murmur was still far in the distance. Steam wafted from a kettle set to prepare noon meals. The baker paused briefly to pour a cup of water. Hands rested steadily on the countertop, eyes kind and tired. The day was unfolding with quiet and humble grace. Outside, the scent of fresh bread joined the morning air. We move gently to the calm pace of a village market. The market square lay bathed in tender sunlight. Stalls of woven reeds held piles of ripe, colorful fruit. A woman arranged plump figs with delicate, deliberate care. Wooden crates overflowed with fragrant herbs and leafy greens. The soft murmur of voices blended with a fanning breeze. A man with a steady gaze carefully selected handfuls of grain. Nearby, a potter displayed simple, earth-toned vessels for water. Children traced patterns in the dust while watching passers-by. A road-worn mule rested quietly beneath the shadowed vine. Faint laughter from a group gathered near a well mingled softly. Bundles of onions and garlic lay side by side. The scent of warm cheese mingled with honey and fresh bread. A vendor offered olives in earthen bowls, glistening faintly. A young couple exchanged slow smiles at a spice stall. Bundles of dried lavender gave off a subtle, calming note. Twigs of rosemary and thyme were carefully tied with twine. An elderly woman fingered soft woolen cloaks with gentle hands. Sunlight filtered through the leaves, creating dappled, mellow patterns. A man rolled a wheel of soft cheese, careful and steady. The tender sound of a flute mingled with the marketplace chatter. A basket filled with fresh eggs sat quietly at a corner. The dusty road outside stretched with calm and peaceful stillness. The sun was rising higher, painting the sky with warmth. Women adjusted their shawls as a soft breeze passed gently. Old friends greeted each other with slow, tender embraces. A mother offered grapes to a small child who clung gently. Loose strands of hair caught a quiet light as the day grew. We start to drift now toward the tender warmth of a bathhouse. The bathhouse was a refuge of steady comfort and calm. Inside, warm steam mingled with the faint scent of herbs. Marble floors gleamed faintly under slow, flickering lamps. Soft voices whispered quietly as guests moved with care. Water flowed gently from stone basins, cool and refreshing. People reclined leisurely, wrapped in simple towels or cloaks. Heat radiated soothingly from warm tiles beneath tender feet. Faint echoes of dripping water created a mellow rhythm. Hands gently massaged tired muscles, easing away lingering tensions. The air was thick with the aroma of olive oil. Quiet conversations danced softly amid warm, misty spaces. Bathers settled in niches adorned with faded mosaics. Outside, The sun shone faintly through latticed windows. A servant moved lightly, offering cups of water and fruit. Guests breathed in the serene atmosphere, shedding daily cares. The heat enveloped them like a tender, familiar embrace. Some sipped on honeyed wine, smooth and mellow on the tongue. A soft breeze entered through open doors, carrying distant bird calls. Veiled faces relaxed beneath the warm, glowing light. The bathhouse offered a steady, peaceful respite from the world. Visitors lingered with measured, slow movements, enjoying quiet moments. A small pool shimmered faintly in the central courtyard. The sound of water lapping was gentle and constant. Stone benches invited guests to pause and reflect serenely. Hands traced figures on worn tiles, admiring soft artistry. A child's laughter was hushed by the calm adults nearby. Outside, cicadas hummed faintly, blending with the still air. The sun dipped slightly, softening the warm light further. We now float toward the soft shade of an olive grove. The olive grove stretched steady beneath a cloudless sky. Rows of gnarled trees stood quietly with thick, weathered trunks. Sunlight filtered faintly through silver-green leaves above. Old men sat slowly on stone benches, watching with patient eyes. Their hands rested gently on walking sticks of polished wood. A young boy gently pruned branches under their calm supervision. The air was warm and still, carrying subtle scents of earth. A small cat padded softly between the thick roots below. Birds flitted quietly from branch to branch overhead. The ground was scattered with fallen, brittle olives. Faint sounds of distant laughter floated softly in the breeze. Slow, steady steps traced paths worn smooth by many generations. Hands wiped sweat from brows with faded cloth strips. A nearby stream whispered gently over rounded stones. Bees buzzed faintly among wildflowers blooming near the edges. The trees cast faint, swaying shadows on the warm earth. A woman gathered a basket of plump olives with focused care. Her movements were calm, practiced, and unhurried. Sunlight touched the leaves, creating shimmering, delicate patterns. A thin veil of dust rose softly with each careful step. She hummed a low tune, blending with the surrounding stillness. An old dog lay stretched in the dappled light beneath trees. The grove held a timeless, steady rhythm deep in its heart. Branches creaked faintly as a lazy wind moved through them. Evening mirrored, painting the sky with a warm, mellow light. Slowly, the grove settled into a peaceful, watchful quiet. We now move gently to the steady rhythms of city homes. In quiet Roman homes, mornings began with gentle light. Curtains fluttered faintly as breaths of air found their way inside. Clay lamps glowed softly on tables beside woven straw mats. Families gathered around low wooden tables to share simple food. Bread, cheese, and fresh fruit formed a modest morning meal. A mother brushed her hair slowly while watching the dawn. Children played quietly with small wooden toys near the hearth. The soft crackle of ash filled the warm air. Sunlight warmed cool stone floors with a wide, tender hand. A father read from a worn scroll, voice calm and steady. The smell of herbs and fresh oil floated in the kitchen. Walls held faint frescoes painted with soothing, natural colors. A servant carefully poured water into shallow basins for washing. Hands dipped slowly, rubbing away the stillness of sleep. Linen garments hung neatly on wooden pegs by doors. Outside, gardens offered sprigs of mint, basil, and fragrant thyme. The quiet drip of water from clay jugs was a gentle lullaby. Footsteps moved softly on stone stairs, extracting sleepy greetings. A cat nestled between cushions, purring with contentment. The morning unfolded with a tender, unhurried grace. Light filtered through lattice windows, casting delicate shadows. In the courtyard, pots of flowering plants brought faint color. Old tiles gleamed dully beneath the careful sweep of brooms. A young girl tended a small hearth fire with steady hands. The slow rhythm of home life breathed a calming peace. Soft voices exchanged in warm tones, careful and measured. Time here was shaped by steady chores and quiet smiles. We drift next to the gentle flow of a Roman river. The river wound its steady path through fields and town. Water glimmered faintly beneath the soft touch of sunlight. Families gathered near riverbanks to wash and chat quietly. A woman rinsed a basket of fresh vegetables in cool water. Fishermen repaired nets with slow, careful fingers beside calm pools. Children splashed gently, laughing with tender delight in the shade. Reeds swayed peacefully with the faintest, persistent breeze. Birds basked on low branches, watching the world with still eyes. The river's melody whispered softly around smooth stones and pebbles. A boat drifted lazily, oars dipping lightly in the water. The scent of damp earth mingled with blooming wildflowers nearby. Soft moss grew thick on weathered rocks along the banks. An old man rested against a tree, his gaze calm and steady. Sunlight flickered through leaves in intricate, mellow patterns. The water mirrored the endless blue of the open sky. Faint ripples traced gentle lines across the shimmering surface. People moved with quiet purpose along the sandy shoreline. A dog padded slowly at the edge, nose to the ground. Evening colors began to blend with the quiet river sounds. The calm flow seemed to carry time itself in silence. A fisherman's quiet whistle echoed faintly across the water. Cattails bent softly with the tender wind's persistent call. Stone bridges arched patiently, worn smooth by years untold. The river was a living, steady thread through daily life. We now turn to the hushed moments inside a Roman villa. The villa opened to warm terraces lined with fragrant flowers. Shutters creaked quietly as soft breezes moved through open rooms. Marble floors held cool, faint reflections of morning light. Families gathered around simple wooden tables for shared, quiet meals. Vases brimmed with wildflowers plucked from nearby rolling hills. The aroma of fresh-baked figs mingled with roasted nuts nearby. Tapestries draped along walls muted sound and softened the light. Stone benches near fountains invited moments of calm rest. A servant brought gentle water to wash hands before eating. Whispers of easy conversation floated through airy, sunlit rooms. A child traced patterns on clay tiles with tender fingers. A small fire sputtered low in the hearth of the main hall. The scent of burning olive oil filled the still air. Old paintings depicted serene landscapes, framed in delicate tones. Smooth cushions invited tired feet to settle and stay a while. Window panes shimmered faintly, catching soft shadows from trees. A cat lounged lazily on a low stone wall outside. Gardens beyond held ripe pomegranates and clusters of fragrant thyme. Winding paths led slowly through olive groves and quiet orchards. From the distance, soft bells marked the passing of calm hours. Inside, fabrics rustled faintly as residents moved with purpose. The villa was a haven of warmth and steady peace. Lanterns sat patiently on ledges to light the coming dusk. The air held a faint, earthy scent after daytime heat. Slow breaths, steady hearts, and gentle smiles filled every room. We now follow the quiet steps of a Roman craftsman. The craftsman's workshop was a realm of patient focus and care. Light filtered softly through small windows dusted with age. Wood shavings scattered gently around a sturdy, well-used bench. Tools rested neatly, worn but clean, with steady familiarity. Hands worked slowly, shaping wood into bowls and small boxes. The rhythmic tapping of a chisel echoed in the hushed space. Faint dust motes danced in warm beams of afternoon sunlight. Leather cords and cloth strips lay waiting on shelves nearby. The smell of fresh pine filled the room with natural calm. A small fire in the corner warmed the cool masonry walls. Deep breaths matched the steady, practiced movements of the craftsman. Outside, the distant murmur of city life blended with nature. An apprentice observed quietly, learning from deliberate gestures. Carved patterns emerged slowly, curved with precision and care. A finished piece was set gently on a soft cloth. The craftsman paused to wipe his brow in thoughtful stillness. The room was filled with a quiet, steady pride. Hours passed as the sun moved gently across the sky. Slow footsteps and soft voices were heard from distant doors. The workshop held a calm rhythm of creation and rest. Tools were set down, awaiting another peaceful morning. Outside, shadows lengthened gently as the day mellowed. The craftsman closed the shutters with quiet, careful motions. We float now to the serene calm of a Roman garden. The garden was a sanctuary of blooms and tender green leaves. Paths of fine gravel curved slowly around shaded, peaceful corners. Tall cypress trees stood like gentle sentinels in the afternoon. Benches of smooth stone invited quiet thoughts and restful pauses. Fragrant jasmine trailed faintly along wrought iron trellises. Bees moved softly between clusters of bright roses and lavender. A cool breeze stirred fountains nestled among moss-covered statues. Lavender and mint released subtle scents into warm, still air. Soft footsteps moved lightly on winding sun-dappled paths. A gardener's steady hands pruned and shaped emerging blooms. Sunlight filtered in patches through leaves, warming mossy stone. Bird song drifted faintly from hidden branches above quiet streams. A small pool mirrored the calm blue sky with serene clarity. The scent of damp earth mingled with the sweetness of apples. A cat slipped quietly through tall grass, unnoticed but content. Flower petals lay scattered gently on the smooth garden floor. An old wheelbarrow rested beneath a fig tree's slow shade. The garden's quiet heart held a tender, enduring peace. Vines crept lazily up stone walls, their green fingers steady. Time seemed to fold softly over the gentle, still grounds. Another calm breath filled the warm and inviting enclosure. The gardener hummed a low tune, blending with nature's hum. Sunlight began its slow descent towards the soft evening. The garden promised rest and quiet for the coming night. With gentle steps, we'll now travel toward the everyday Roman street. The street was a ribbon of stone winding through the town. Shadows stretched slowly as afternoon sun painted the quiet road. Faint sounds of daily life rose in soft, rhythmic waves. Windows opened faintly to reveal families bent over simple tasks. A woman carried a basket brimming with bright, ripe apples. Children chased a rolling hoop with measured, playful motions. Dogs lounged in shaded doorways, their breathing steady and calm. A man swept steps slowly, scattering dust with a gentle hand. The smell of fresh bread mingled with baking olives nearby. Old wooden carts rested quietly against sun-warmed walls. Laundry flapped faintly on lines stretching across the narrow street. Footsteps echoed softly on the smooth stones worn with age. A tender breeze stirred hanging curtains, brushing against vines. A cat paused briefly to watch slow movements from a roof. People exchanged calm greetings with soft smiles and nods. Near a corner, an artist sketched faint lines on damp parchment. The day's warmth lay heavy but pleasant upon stone and skin. A small child sat quietly beside a fountain, dipping toes. The street's pulse was steady, slow, and comforting. Evening light began to wash the stones with gentle hues. Vendors began to pack slowly as the day matured. The quiet hum of crickets slowly joined the soft breeze. The street seemed to sigh with the close of a peaceful day. The gentle rhythm of footsteps continued into mellow twilight. With calm hearts, we turned toward the humble kitchen hearth. The hearth glowed faintly in the corner of the stone room. Flames licked slowly at olive wood, giving a mellow warmth. A pot of lentils simmered gently, filling the air with comfort. Smoke curled innocently upward, soft and tender in the twilight. Hands stirred carefully, knowing the meal would feed many tonight. A woman hummed quietly, preparing herbs to add to the stew. The scent of garlic and rosemary mingled in peaceful harmony. Outside, dusk colored the sky with gentle blues and pale pinks. A cat sat near the fire, whiskers twitching with steady breath. Clay cups waited patiently on low wooden shelves for water. The family gathered slowly, drawn by the hearth's warm glow. Soft voices mingled with the steady crackle of the fire. Evening shadows danced gently across faded frescoes on the walls. A child's hand reached out to touch slowly cooling bread crusts. The simple meal was shared with quiet, grateful smiles. Lantern light filled the room with a calm, amber hue. The sounds of the night began their tender, familiar song. Outside, cicadas and crickets sang a hushed lullaby for all. The hearth's glow promised comfort and steady rest for those inside. A prayer was whispered softly before the meal was taken up. Time here moved with a serene, measured cadence. Warmth and nourishment softened the edges of the day's end. The family's breath slowed in unison with the dying fire. We now drift toward the evening calm of the city square. The city square rested beneath a mellow, fading sun. Flickering oil lamps were lit slowly along stone pillars. Shadows grew longer as footsteps turned softer on the stones. Children paused their games, faces glowing with gentle tiredness. Benches filled with pairs of elders sharing quiet reminiscences. Vendors smiled slowly as they closed stalls one by one. Potted plants caught the last warm light of the day. A stray breeze carried faint, savory aromas from distant kitchens. Slow conversations blended with the soft cooing of doves. Lanterns cast delicate patterns of light and shadow on walls. A couple walked gently, their hands brushing tenderly together. The square's fountain murmured softly, water humming a restful tune. A dog padded past lazily, pausing briefly beside a worn stone. Evening's arrival softened the city's steady daily heartbeat. A bard strummed a lute in a quiet corner, tuning slowly. The music was faint, merging with the settling evening calm. Benches creaked slightly as late visitors moved with quiet grace. Vines climbed stone walls just beginning to disappear in dusk. The sky deepened to a steady, dusky blue above the square. Soft laughter bubbled in the sheltered folds of the evening's hush. Lantern light shimmered on the smooth surfaces of worn statues. Steps echoed faintly as people slowly made their way home. The city's pulse slowed, wrapped in a cloak of peace. The square held a tender stillness as night whispered itself near. We gently turned toward the cozy refuge of an inn's common room. The inn welcomed travelers with a steady glow of warmth. Wood cracked softly in the large iron hearth at the center. Tables bore gentle nicks and scratches from years of use. Lanterns swayed faintly from low wooden beams overhead. Outside, the night stretched like a calm velvet blanket. Firelight flickered on faces tired but content from the day. Steaming cups of herbal tea passed slowly between hands. The murmur of soft voices blended with the low crackle. A bard's soft tune drifted lightly from a forgotten corner. A small dog nestled near feet, breathing slow and even. The smell of roasting chestnuts mingled with leather and wood. Travelers shared calm smiles, stories told in hushed, friendly tones. Curtains hung thick to shield from the night's fading chill. A gentle breeze ruffled pages of an open scroll on a table. The room seemed to breathe warmly with steady, tender life. No one hurried. Time moved like a calm river here. Chairs scraped softly as guests shifted with peaceful ease. A candle's flame danced faintly, casting mellow light on bounds. The inn was a harbor of quiet rest and soft companionship. Outside, stars began their steady watch over sleeping roofs. Evening's embrace wrapped the inn in steady, serene comfort. Quiet sighs rose gently as heads found pillows at last. The innkeeper moved slowly, readying rooms with practiced care. We now follow the calm footsteps along peaceful cobblestone lanes. Cobblestone lanes twisted softly through the dimming city maze. The steady clip of sandals echoed faintly in the cool night. Lanterns cast pools of mellow light on ancient stone walls. Windows glowed faintly, a soft promise of warmth inside. A gentle breeze stirred ivy, trailing along crumbling facades. Small cats chased shadows, their movements light and unhurried. The scent of jasmine wove quietly through the evening air. Rustling leaves whispered slow tales as night deepened around walls. A lone figure paused to gaze at the mellow city lights. The cool night air settled softly over slumbering rooftops. Faint music floated from distant rooms, a lullaby for the town. Doorways held faint shapes of those preparing for gentle sleep. The streets, empty now, hummed with peaceful, steady restfulness. Faint stars winked above the steady rhythm of the sleeping city. Windows reflected the soft gleam of silent moving clouds. The sound of water dripping gently from stone gutters filled the night. Lanterns swayed softly as a distant owl called serenely. The city seemed to breathe deeply, wrapped in tender calm. Slow footsteps turned homeward beneath the steady glow of moonlight. A soft wind passed, carrying the scent of olives and thyme. The night held a steady, gentle embrace on every quiet corner. We drift now toward the serene morning of a Roman farmstead. Morning arrived with a tender light across green, rolling fields. A rooster's faint crow broke the stillness in sleepy tones. Farmers moved slowly toward soft earth, tools steady in hand. Cows grazed calmly beyond a fence of weathered wooden posts. Dew clung lightly to tall grasses and sprouting wildflowers. A woman gathered eggs from a small henhouse with tender care. Children watched quietly as carts creaked over stone-rutted paths. A gentle breeze rustled through neat rows of ripening crops. The scent of fresh hay mingled with wild thyme and sage. Hands pulled slowly on baskets filled with the day's first vegetables. The low murmur of quiet voices blended with birdsong. A dog lay dozing near a stocked water trough with steady breath. The farmhouse windows caught the soft, glowing light of dawn. An old oak tree spread wide limbs over shaded resting places. The farmhouse door creaked as it opened to begin the day. Simple sounds of bread being prepared filled the crisp morning. Life here moved with soothing, steady rhythms of earth and sky. A flock of sheep huddled quietly beneath the shade of trees. Farm tools rested patiently beside stacks of freshly cut straw. Faint laughter rose from children chasing slow-moving lambs nearby. The farm's steady heartbeat matched the gentle sun's slow rise. Morning chores unfolded with calm, deliberate movements and quiet smiles. The world felt still, held in a warm, peaceful embrace. We lay now beneath the spreading branches of a fig orchard. Fig trees stood patient in the warm morning glow. Leaves shimmered with delicate patterns of light and shadow. Fruit hung heavy and ripe, its scent sweet and mellow. A woman reached slowly to gather figs with steady hands. The ground beneath was soft with fallen leaves and bright sunlight. Children picked small branches, laughing softly as they helped. A breeze stirred thick branches, sending faint rustlings over quiet earth. Birds flittered between trunks, calling gently to one another. Old stone walls bordered the orchard with calm, enduring strength. The rich scent of earth rose beneath ripening fruit and flowers. Lizards darted slowly among gnarled roots, warmed by the sun. The orchard was alive with steady, loving care and time. A basket brimming with figs rested near the tree roots. Sunlight pooled in patches, warming soft moss growing between stones. In far corners, wildflowers nodded with faint, tender colors. The air felt cool and mild beneath the dense, leafy canopy. A cat stretched out lazily on a sunlit stone ledge. The orchard held a gentle hush that comforted the heart. The steady rhythm of harvesting brought peace to all who worked. Crickets sang softly in nearby grass as the day matured. Clouds moved faintly across the broad, calm sky above. The orchard's calm breathed slowly with the passing of each hour. We now turn toward the hushed coolness of a shaded porch. The porch stayed quiet beneath the great spreading canopy. Wooden beams, warmed in sunlight, filtered through tendrils of vine. A breeze drifted gently, carrying faint scents of lavender and thyme. Clay pots held bright flowers, nodding slowly against steady stone. A woman sat wrapped in folds of soft linen, knitting calmly. Her hands moved with slow grace, fingers entwining and releasing. The faint tick of a small wooden clock marked time's pace. A bird sang tenderly from a nearby branch, soft and steady. A cat purred quietly on a woven mat by her side. The shade was deep and comforting amid the gentle summer heat. A jug of cool water sat on a low wooden table. Faint laughter rose from a child playing nearby in the garden. Sunlight dappled through the leaves in irregular, steady patches. The scent of fresh herbs mingled quietly with the warm air. A gentle head move matched the steady rhythm of slow breaths. Time here seemed to ease into a still and smiling pause. Old slippers rested beneath a simple rocking chair by the door. The soft breeze stirred curtains made from fine linen threads. A faint shadow of a smile crossed peaceful eyes closed in rest. The porch invited moments of stillness and calm reflection. Evening would come soon with its hushed, mellow light and rest. The world beyond softened beneath the serene, steady calm. We glide slowly now to the quiet shade of a tiled courtyard. The courtyard lay sheltered within tall, sun-warmed walls. A central fountain burbled with slow, steady drops of water. Potted plants grew lush, spilling fragrant leaves onto cool stone. An old woman tended gently to a small herb garden. She moved with practiced ease, planting tender shoots with care. The air was filled with sweet scents of thyme and rosemary. Sunlight filtered through vines climbing lattices on every side. The courtyard stones held faint impressions of years long past. In a corner, a cat stretched lazily across warm tiles. A soft breeze stirred lace curtains fluttering at open windows. A low bench invited quiet rest beneath a swaying olive tree. The steady murmur of water brought calm to all who lingered. A basket of freshly picked flowers added bright, mellow color. Faint bird calls blended with the thin whisper of falling leaves. A hand brushed dust from time-worn statues with tender caution. Baskets of fruit waited under cloths in cool, shaded places. The courtyard embraced each visitor with gentle, tender quiet. The sound of slow footfalls echoed softly around the space. Continuing, we drift toward the faint glow of lamplit streets. The streets glowed faintly beneath the tossing lantern light. Walls rose tall and steady, sheltering the calm night below. Shadows shifted slowly, deepening the sense of restful stillness. A dog trotted softly, its paws padding on smooth stone. Lanterns cast golden pools where cool darkness lay between. Windows glimmered faintly, revealing moments of quiet daily life. A woman stood by a window, softly humming to herself. Moonlight mingled with lamp glow, creating steady, gentle hues. The scent of jasmine surrounded the narrow, winding passages. Lone figures moved slowly, wrapped in cloaks for the evening chill. Soft echoes of footsteps followed steady heartbeats through the dark. The peaceful night held a steady, familiar embrace of quiet. A child's soft yawn was answered by a warm household sigh. Lantern light flickered on rough walls lined with creeping ivy. Soft voices whispered in corners where shadows held their breath. An old man rested on the stoop of a quiet home. The night's calm wrapped gently around every narrow, winding street. Stillness deepened like a slow wave, lapping steady shores. Time felt suspended in these soft, flickering moments of night. We now softly drift toward the warm beginnings of a new dawn. Dawn appeared with a faint glow on the horizon's edge. Mist crept gently across quiet fields and sleeping rooftops. Birds began their tender melodies with steady, mellow tone. The air held fresh promise, moist and cool with morning. A gentle stirring of leaves foretold soft breezes yet to come. Windows lit slowly as houses welcomed warm, steady light. The faint scent of dew on grass filled the quiet town. Mothers woke their children with calm hands and gentle voices. Smoke began to rise faintly from freshly lit hearth fires. The first light painted stones with soft strokes of peach and gold. A dog barked slowly in the distance, a solitary herald of day. Footsteps rang steady and sure on waking streets of stone. Faint laughter rippled from open windows where families gathered. Laundry hung wet and shining, catching the early morning calm. The market prepared again, its heart pulsing steady with life. Garden flowers opened gently, petals unfolding like slow breaths. Old trees stood patiently, branches reaching softly to greet the sun. Farmers moved among fields, their labors slow and tender. The day unfolded with a familiar, comforting rhythm of routine. Life continued, steady and gentle, beneath the endless sky. A soft breeze carried with it the promise of warm light. We will pause now as the day begins, peaceful and assured. Now we turn our thoughts toward the simple pleasure of a morning meal. The kitchen stirred with the mild aroma of barley and figs. Earthenware bowls sat ready, filled with honey's mellow sweetness. Wooden spoons rested beside clay jars, waiting for gentle use.
Women hummed softly while grinding grain with steady hands.
The fire's warm glow flickered quietly beneath sturdy pots. Fresh water flowed calmly from small fountains into waiting cups. Strips of olives were shared, their taste rich and familiar. Bread cracked gently when broken, its crumb tender and moist. Teeth sank softly into soft, warm loaves, comforting the soul. Outside, chickens wandered lazily, their feathers catching the light. A cat purred beside the hearth, curling slowly in warmth. Small children sat quietly, savoring the calm start of day. Voices rose in tender whispers amid the dim morning haze. Shadows played faintly on walls, dancing with subtle grace. The slow turning of a millstone marked time with a hum. Traders arranged wares with care, prepared for a gentle day. Basket handles swayed softly as they were placed in order. Sunlight filtered through leaves, dappling the packed dirt paths. A dog lay stretched in the dirt, eyes closed in serene rest. The scent of fresh herbs mingled with the earth's own breath. Slow footsteps marked the passage of those heading toward fields. The tranquil air held a faint promise of coming warmth. Carts creaked as they moved steadily down cobblestone lanes. A quiet nod passed between neighbors meeting by the fountain. Let us now drift toward the warmth of an afternoon in the countryside. Olive trees murmured faintly, with leaves brushing gentle breezes. Grapevines crawled along wooden trellises in steady, quiet growth. The soil, rich and dark, cradled young roots in tender clutch. A narrow path wound through wildflowers, soft under light steps. Birds called out with mellow tones, echoing through open fields. Rustling grasses whispered secrets only the wind understood. Farmers paused with hands on hips, gazing serenely at their land. Slow fingers gathered ripe fruits with careful, loving intent. In quiet corners, wild herbs swayed with gentle rhythm. The sun shifted, casting long, diffuse shadows across the earth. A small child found delight in a beetle's slow, winding crawl. Larks lifted into the sky in a feathered, tranquil wave. Around a distant pond, reeds nodded under a soft sigh. Water shimmered faintly under the steady, warming afternoon light. Small fish darted beneath the surface in mellow, curious ways. A shepherd's flock moved with calm, measured steps near rolling hills. Sheep's wool glistened faintly in dappled sun and shade. A lazy breeze carried the faint scent of cinnamon bark. Clouds drifted slowly above, casting playful patterns on the fields. A lone tree stood steadfast, its branches welcoming small nests. In a quiet grove, bees hummed a steady, unhurried song. The world seemed to breathe with a peaceful, steady pulse. Grasshoppers chirped softly as twilight approached with gentle grace. As the sun dipped low, the countryside bathed in mellow gold. We moved gently to the steady sounds of a Roman village. Roof tiles settled in place, warmed by the steady sun. Narrow streets lay still, dust rising faintly with each soft footstep. Wooden shutters opened slowly, letting in tender streams of light. Old stone walls, kissed by moss, held centuries of quiet stories. Clay pots on windowsills cradled small blooms of vivid color. Vendors arranged fresh goods, their hands steady and practiced. A faint chuckle passed lightly from a group seated nearby. Breadcrumbs scattered quietly near the doorstep where cats napped. Bundles of herbs hung from beams, filling the air with scent. Children chased each other in slow, lazy circles through alleys. Tin cups clinked softly as gentlemen sipped slowly by the fountain. A baker's apprentice carried flour with careful, steady steps. The village bell chimed faintly, calling for the calm midday silence. Napping dogs stretched on shaded hearths, welcoming the warm stillness. Woven baskets brimmed quietly with figs, grapes, and fresh vegetables. A gentle breeze carried laughter mixed with the fragrance of cooking. Lanterns rested unused, awaiting the cool arms of evening. In kitchens, olives simmered in oil with soft, slow bubbles. A potter shaped clay with tender, methodical movements in his shop. The steady rhythm of a quern ground grain beneath patient hands. Women chatted quietly while weaving baskets beneath leaning cypress trees. A small boy honed his skipping stones beside a peaceful stream. The village settled deeper into its restful pace as shadows grew. Smoke rose faintly from chimneys, curling like a soft breath into air. Let us now wander softly into the embrace of a Roman bath. Warm steam drifted upward with a whisper of comforting heat. Marble floors echoed faint steps, smooth and cool beneath bare feet. Low voices murmured in tender conversation, blending with water song. Cloths folded gently on wooden benches awaiting their slow use. Water rippled steadily, reflecting the faint light from oil lamps. Bronze basins held fresh water, cool and inviting to the touch. Bathers moved steadily, their motions calm and unhurried. Fragrant oils filled the air with a muted, comforting scent. Hands massaged tired muscles, tracing patterns of slow relief. The warmth embraced bodies like a soft, steady blanket. Steam lingered faintly around pillars adorned with carved vines. A delicate tap of sandals on stone marked a gentle rhythm. Whispers of laughter floated easily in the haze of warmth. Pools shimmered with quiet light, inviting peace and rest. Staff moved quietly, replenishing waters with gentle care. Faint scents of lavender and rosemary mingled in warm air. The soothing environment cradled visitors in steady tranquility. Outside, olive branches pressed lightly against distant windows. A visitor paused by a window, watching the tender dusk unfold. Small fountains splashed faintly, their sounds blending with soft chatter. Bathers slowly emerged, wrapped in towels dyed with calm colors. The evening air brought a subtle, serene chill beyond the doors. Candles flickered low as night prepared to cradle the city. We now drift toward the feel of a Roman country villa. Vines curled tenderly around whitewashed walls in gentle embrace. Terracotta pots overflowed with herbs, their aroma mellow and sweet. Sunlight painted soft patterns on worn stone floors inside rooms. Wooden shutters opened to reveal gardens waking in warm light. Gardens stretched calmly, filled with olives, figs, and soft grasses. A cat stretched slowly on cool marble steps, eyes half closed. Strings of grapes hung heavy, swaying faintly in the gentle wind. A fountain gurgled tenderly, sending tiny ripples across glassy pools. Linen curtains fluttered faintly, stirred by faint afternoon breezes. In the kitchen, clay jars held olive oil and fragrant spices. Bread rested, wrapped in cloth, near a warming fire's glow. Chickens pecked peacefully near stacks of sun-baked bricks beside the porch. A woman moved steadily, arranging food on rustic wooden tables. The scent of baked almonds mingled softly with earth and stone. A small boy helped carry water from the nearby well with care. Sun-warmed pottery clinked lightly as cups were filled with wine. A dog lay in shade beneath the wide embrace of an old oak. Twilight began to paint the sky with hues of tender rose. The villa settled into a calm hush as birds sang their last. Stars appeared slowly, their faint light a quiet promise of rest. The day's warmth lingered in every stone and woven mat. A breeze whispered softly, carrying the faint scent of jasmine. Calmness filled every corner, wrapping the villa in serene comfort. Inside, quiet conversations faded into nighttime's gentle embrace. Let us now drift toward the steady calm of a vineyard at dusk. Grape leaves rustled faintly as the sun sank in mellow hues. Rows of vines stretched like soft waves across gently rolling hills. Workers rested beside wooden posts, their breaths calm and even. The scent of earth, ripe fruit, and dry leaves filled the air. A small bird fluttered low, gathering twigs for a quiet nest. Shadows deepened slowly among the grape clusters, heavy and sweet. The sky shifted from gold to soft lavender across the horizon. In cool shade, barrels waited patiently to cradle fresh harvest. Muted footsteps crossed dusty paths, lined with wild thyme and mint. A lantern flickered softly as evening slowly wrapped the landscape. Clusters of grapes caught faint light, glistening with gentle dew. A frail breeze stirred the leaves in a quiet dance of peace. The steady rhythm of insect hums filled the calm evening air. The soft murmur of distant voices blended with night's approach. A dog padded quietly, nose to ground, exploring the settling world. In resting fields beyond, sheep huddled close in silent comfort. The tranquility of twilight deepened with each passing tender moment. Stars began to twinkle faintly, scattered like dreams across the sky. The vineyard held its breath, wrapped in cool and tranquil dusk. Lanterns glowed low in distant cottages, casting mellow pools of light. The land settled softly, ready to dream beneath the stars.
Calm spun its quiet thread through every leaf and stone.
The hush of night maintained the world's slow, peaceful heartbeat. A final breeze sighed gently, sliding softly through the quiet vines. We move now into the peaceful realm of a Roman workshop. Carpenters worked slowly, with steady hands and careful eyes. Wood smelled fresh and warm, rich with soft promise of creation. Tools lay waiting, polished and silent beneath low, amber light. Dust floated faintly in sunbeams that found their way inside. The rhythm of measured tapping echoed tenderly through the air. Boards were smoothed with patience, each stroke steady as a breath. Nails clicked faintly into place as new structures took form. A potter softly spun clay on a wheel, shaping calm vessels. Hands moved with practiced grace, coaxing life from cold earth. The scent of damp clay filled the room like a quiet song. Finished pots rested serenely on shelves, their shapes slow and sure. Small fragments of colored glass caught light, prepared for mosaic art. An apprentice watched quietly, learning the silent, steady craft. Patterns were traced with care onto fresh pottery, limes flowing mild and sure. Muted voices exchanged tender advice in whispers and smiles. Wood shavings accumulated softly in corners, relics of gentle work. The steady pace of creation filled the space with calm warmth. Outside, leaves danced faintly along stone paths as the sun lowered. A cat wove leisurely through the legs of those bent at work. At evening's edge, tools were put away with careful hands. The workshop stood peaceful, filled with echoes of soft labor. The day's work rested quietly, ready for slow renewal. An orange glow dimmed gently as night approached the small building. Let us now wander lightly to a Roman countryside festival. Villagers gathered calmly beneath the long sweep of an open sky. Colorful ribbons hung faintly between sturdy olive branches overhead. Long tables bore fruits, nuts, and bread in steady abundance. Families sat together, sharing food with quiet, contented smiles. Lamps flickered in gentle rhythm as shadows stretched and moved. Faint laughter rose softly, mingling with the warm evening air. Children played slowly, chasing gentle shadows on smooth, worn stones. A soft breeze carried the scent of roasted chestnuts and wild herbs. Threads of string hummed lightly as simple games passed hands with care. Old men nodded slowly, their eyes reflecting mellow firelight. Women embroidered quietly, fingers dancing over quiet patterns in cloth. The steady murmur of conversation wrapped the evening in calm. From far away, a flutist breathed gentle notes into the night. The music rose and fell with tender, soothing cadence and grace. Lanterns swung faintly, casting glimmers of warm gold light. Plates clinked gently as food was shared beneath a mellow moon. Guests leaned back, resting in the arms of quiet satisfaction. The world seemed to exhale softly, settled in its ease. Small fires crackled low, their warmth mingling with cool night air. Stars appeared one by one, quiet sentinels above the festival. Songs wound around the gathered crowd like a soft, steady breeze. There was no hurry here, only the bittersweet pleasure of rest. The village lingered in the calm glow of gentle company. We turn now to the quiet comfort of a Roman study. Heavy scrolls lay neatly stacked upon a wide wooden desk. Faint sunlight filtered through high windows, warm and mellow. Inkpots and quills rested silently, ready for slow, careful use. Leather-bound books bore titles faded with the steady passage of time. A scholar's fingers traced faint lines of ancient, tender script. A brazier glowed faintly with embers, lending steady warmth. Parchment smelled faintly of earth and old knowledge, rich and deep. A small, steady flame flickered, casting dancing shadows on walls. Quiet thoughts moved slowly like drifting clouds across a calm sky. A cat lay curled beside heavy tapestries, soft and undisturbed. Gentle breathing filled the still room with steady rhythm. A scholar lifted a cup of wine, its color rich and mellow. Outside, leaves whispered faintly as the warm day leaned to dusk. The faint rustle of a turning page mingled with quiet breath. A solitary lamp cast warm pools of light on parchment edges. The room was filled with the calm weight of knowledge and time. Hours drifted by without hurry, held by tranquil curiosity. Pens moved tenderly, crafting lines with patient, steady grace. The scholar paused, eyes soft, immersed in whispered histories. Outside, night began to settle quietly over tiled rooftops. The world outside slowed gently while the study glowed warmly inside. Books and scrolls awaited quiet dreams within the gentle dark. A faint breeze stirred curtains, carrying night's hush into the room. Let us now glide softly toward a Roman fisher's morning. Nets were folded with care beside small wooden boats by shore. The water shimmered faintly beneath the early, steady light. Waves lapped calmly against weathered hulls, singing mellow songs. The scent of salt and seaweed mingled with fresh morning air. Fishermen moved slowly, enjoying calm moments before the day's work. Seagulls wheeled softly overhead, their calls gentle and distant. Oars rested quietly, polished smooth by steady use and time. A bucket of wet fish sat cool, gliding softly in steady waves. Small children gathered stones, tossing them into the tranquil water. Ropes coiled gently against the docks, waiting for patient hands. The sun warmed backs and faces with tender, unhurried touch. Salt crystals formed faint patterns on rough planks and sails. The village beyond awoke quietly, with slow footsteps on stone streets. Sails flapped softly, casting gentle shadows on weathered ropes. A cat prowled lazily along the dock, whiskers twitching faintly. The breeze carried a faint melody of distant laughter and talk. A fisher's hand brushed carefully over nets, checking for softness. Time seemed to steady itself like the rocking of the boats. The hours spread calmly like water beneath an endless sky. Lanterns swung gently in the harbor as light began to fade. Boats rested peacefully, cradled by the embrace of the sea. The shore grew still, beneath an expanse of star-speckled quiet. The world of water and sky held its breath for gentle dreams. Now we drift toward the humble calm of a Roman potter's home. Clay dust settled tenderly on worn tables and sun-warmed floors. Simple tools lay quiet, their edges smooth from years of use. Soft wool blankets covered wooden chairs, serene in their stillness. Pots of steaming stew simmered slowly over faint embers glowing. A small fire crackled gently in an open hearth's steady heart. Sunlight poured softly through shuttered windows, warming every surface. The scent of baking bread mingled with herbs drying near the fire. A quiet child sat nearby, fingers tracing worn patterns on pots. Outside, the garden bloomed with calm lavender and sage. Old hands shaped soft clay, working patiently to coax new form. The cat purred low, settled snugly on a woven mat. The day passed slowly, marked by peaceful breaths and simple meals. porcelain vessels glistened faintly, treasures born of steady, tender care. Evening light deepened to gold, casting mellow shadows on the walls. The Potter's family gathered around, sharing quiet smiles and tales. A soft breeze stirred curtains, brushing faintly against earthenware jars. The hearth's glow shifted gently, a guardian of mellow warmth. The house held all the calm and comfort of many gentle years. Night wrapped the village softly, a blanket of peace and rest.
Let us now flow softly into the peaceful depths of a Roman orchard.
Bright fruit hung heavy on branches, dappled in mellow sunlight. Gentle hands picked figs with tender care and quiet gratitude. Petals drifted like snowflakes, brushing the ground with feather-like grace. Bees buzzed with steady purpose, visiting blossoms in a slow dance. The grass beneath was cool and rich with the earth's own scent. Lamps hung low on branches, waiting for the coming twilight. A gentle breeze stirred leaves in hushed conversation with the air. A young girl gathered fallen apples, forming a soft pile by feet. The soil was warm and receptive beneath steady wandering steps. Old men rested on shaded benches, enjoying the mellow afternoon. Small birds chirped faint melodies, a soundtrack for drifting quiet moments. Sunlight filtered through leaves, painting the world in gentle patterns. The orchard's calm held whispered promises of sweet harvests to come. A dog padded softly through rows, sniffing with gentle curiosity. Twilight slowly gathered as colors faded to tender shades of gray. A faint scent of damp earth rose with the cooling breath of nightfall. Stars began to sparkle faintly through the serene canopy above. The orchard settled into a peaceful, undisturbed tranquility. Every leaf and fruit held the gentle hush of centuries. Near a quiet stream, the water sang muffled songs of steady calm. Soft footsteps retreated slowly, leaving the orchard in quiet grace. The night cradled the world gently, wrapping all in calm dreams. A final breeze whispered through branches like a lullaby for the earth. We now ease into the mellow afternoon by a Roman riverbank. Water flowed steadily, whispering secrets to smooth stones below. Reeds swayed softly in the tender embrace of the warm breeze. Sunlight scattered diamonds across the surface in a faint, shimmering dance. A fisherman's hat rested gently upon a crooked branch. Small fish darted lazily beneath the gentle ripple's steady motion. Willows dipped their branches as if to touch the water's calm skin. Grass rustled quietly with the movement of browsing sheep nearby. A woman sat quietly, weaving baskets from pliant, sun-dried fibers. Dragonflies skittered above the water's pale, reflective mirror. Children dipped toes carefully, laughing with faint, mellow delight. The scent of wildflowers mixed softly with fresh river air. A dog shook off water slowly, droplets sparkling in diffuse light.
Stone bridges arched silently across the meandering stream, ancient and steady.
The river's song blended with the fuzzy hum of distant bees. Evening drew near, folding the land beneath a velvety sky. Lanterns glowed softly from houses set back from the flowing water. The gentle murmur of village life seemed a quiet heartbeat here. Waterfowl glided noiselessly, leaving faint trails in the steady current. The river's calm held all the slow rhythms of nature's soul. As night seeped softly, stars mirrored themselves in the darkening stream. The riverbank rested in peaceful silence, cradled by steady earth. A breeze passed lightly, carrying the faint, soothing scent of moss. Night approached softly, wrapping the river in a tranquil shroud. We gently transition now toward the tender dawn in a small Roman village. Roosters crowed faintly, greeting the day with calm steadiness. Smoke curled lazily from chimneys, blending with soft morning mist. Streets lay calm, dust catching dew in shimmering little jewels. An old woman carried water slowly, the vessel steady in her hands. A baker opened his shutters, the world warm and inviting inside. Lanterns flickered low, awaiting final sleep before another quiet day. Children yawned quietly, rubbing eyes beneath the tender light of dawn. Dogs stretched languidly on gore steps, reluctant to rise from dreams. Morning air was filled with the soft aroma of baking bread. Windows framed gentle scenes of calm preparation and sleepy smiles. A cat wandered dreamily through the streets, its steps nearly silent. Market stalls began to assemble with tender care and quiet excitement. Faint chatter mixed with the distant toll of a small village bell. The village embraced the new day with steady, measured calm. Old stone fountains dripped softly, filling stone basins with clear water. The sun rose slowly, spreading warm light over quiet rooftops. Birds sang tender melodies, weaving a soft lullaby for waking souls. Lavenders and thyme in gardens glimmered with faint drops of dew. The day began with gentle promise, slow and sure, like a breath. Smoke and light mingled softly, preparing life for another peaceful turn. Neighbors nodded quietly, sharing greetings with the gentlest of smiles. The village stretched, yawned, and settled into the steady pulse of morning. Time moved tenderly, measured by sun and shadow rather than haste. Now we drift tenderly toward the settling calm of a Roman forge. The blacksmith worked with calm strength, his movements slow and steady. Faint sparks rose like fireflies from the glowing bed of coals. The air was rich with the scent of hot metal and old wood. Tools arranged methodically, each waiting for its gentle moment use. Hammers fell in muffled rhythm on anvils that sang soft metallic notes. A small fire flickered low, sending warm, steady light through the shop. Sweat traced slow lines down flushed faces, cooled by gentle draughts. The iron cooled slowly in water basins, mist rising serene and pale. A cat nestled quietly in a corner, its breath steady and deep. The blacksmith paused, his eyes reflecting the fiery heart of work. Outside, trees swayed faintly in a calm and cooling breeze. The forge's door sat partially open, inviting soft sounds of nature. A young apprentice watched with quiet awe and tender patience.
Pieces of shaped metal rested gently, glowing faintly under the amber light.
The day's labor echoed in steadiness, a hymn of calm craft. Sunlight waned as shadows stretched long across the dusty floor. Evening approached quietly, soft as the last tap of a hammer. The forge settled slowly, retaining the warmth of steady hands. Outside, cicadas hummed a faint, endless song of summer evenings. Darkness gathered softly, wrapping the small workshop in peaceful quiet. The blacksmith's spirit remained calm, tethered to steady ancient rhythms. The balance between fire and iron rested comfortably in calm harmony. Night cloaked the forge, its fires dimming into tender embers. We softly turned toward the glow of a Roman family's evening meal. The hearth crackled low, sending warmth and golden light into the room. Earthenware plates held simple stews rich with faint herbs and roots. Loaves of bread, crusty and wholesome, sat near bowls of olives. Dimming candles cast soft shadows that flickered against smooth walls. Children sat cross-legged, their smiles tender and eyes bright with calm. A cat wound slowly among their feet, purring a steady lullaby. The scent of roasted vegetables mingled quietly with faint smoke. Voices arose in measured tones, sharing stories low and tender. An old man smiled steadily, his hands steady as he passed dishes. Laughter spilled gently, a cascading murmur that warmed the room. Outside, moonlight washed softly over the thatched roofs of the village. The family lingered in calm comfort, wrapped in evening's gentle hush. Smoke curled faintly from an outer chimney into the cool night air. The table's bounty spoke of steady hands and quiet care. Crickets whispered softly beyond open windows where curtains fluttered. A murmured prayer closed the meal, steady and reverent as a breath. Night deepened softly outside, cradling the household in quiet embrace. The family's shared peace was a gentle tether through passing days. After plates were cleared, warm stories continued, low and slow. Shadows deepened and spread as sleep began to gently call. Calm spread softly over the room as dreams prepared their tender visit. The night hummed softly with steady rhythms beneath still skies. We now drift toward the steady calm of a Roman grain store. Wooden barrels stood lined in quiet, shadowed rows and curves. The faint scent of wheat mingled softly with cooling earth below. A slow breeze slipped through open doors, stirring straw in gentle waves. Workers moved quietly, filling sacks with steady, practiced hands. Dust motes danced lazily, caught in ripples of warm, golden light. Bundles of grain rested patiently against sturdy wooden supports. Small animals settled quietly in hidden corners, undisturbed by slow steps. The air held the faint echo of harvests long past and yet near. A cat watched solemnly from atop a barrel, eyes half hostile sleep. Timber beams arched calmly overhead, cradling all in steady strength. The scent of fresh grain deepened as the day gently warmed. Clay lamps flickered faintly, ready to hold gentle light through dusk. Sacks rested, filled and tied, waiting for quiet journeys to come. The quiet murmurs of workers blended with the rustle of straw. The store settled into timeless comfort, a cradle for humble grains. Through cracks in walls, twilight softened every edge and corner. The world outside quieted as the sun hid its steady face. Crickets soon chirped softly beyond the store's comforting frame. Dust settled gently, covering surfaces in a faint, warm blanket. The grain store held the calm pulse of steady, yielding earth. Night deepened, and the store rested quietly under a blanket of stars. A faint breeze passed softly, a gentle finger through still air. Now we move gently beside a Roman roadside tavern in late afternoon. The warm glow of firelight flickered softly through open windows. Arched doorways framed the steady passing of visitors and old friends. Wooden tables bore the weight of clay cups filled with mellow wine. The scent of roasted chestnuts drifted gently from a nearby hearth. Voices rose quietly in calm conversation, steady and unhurried. A dog lay stretched beneath a bench, resting its slow breath. A harpist's fingers plucked softly, adding tender music to the air.
Slow laughter curled lightly around stories told with gentle smiles.
Outside, vines climbed lazily along rough stone walls, rich and full. Lanterns flickered as shadows stretched long across hardened dirt paths. A steady breeze carried the faint scent of herbs and distant flowers. Old men nodded quietly, savoring the evening's slow, comforting pace. Children rested silently, lulled by the fading light and soft sounds. Clay pitchers glistened with condensation, cool and inviting to the touch. The tavern's worn beams held the echoes of countless, peaceful gatherings. Evening deepened gently, wrapping the village in a calm, steady cloak. Guests rose slowly, their footsteps echoing softly on time-worn wooden planks. The fire dimmed to glowing embers, warm and steady in the hearth. The night awaited with tranquil arms beyond the tavern's cozy walls. A final glass was raised in quiet thanks, voices fading tenderly. The tavern rested now, cradled in soft shadows and hushed calm. Outside, stars shimmered faintly beneath the steady watch of the moon. Let us drift now toward the humble calm of a Roman herbalist's shop. Bundles of dried herbs hung in mellow sprays from low wooden beams. Shelves held jars filled with steeped leaves, roots, and fragrant powders. The smell of lavender, thyme, and mint wove softly through the air. Gentle hands sifted slowly through bundles, selecting with tender care. A cat purred faintly near a small fire, warming soothing oils. Sunlight fell in soft patches, warming worn wooden counters and stools. Quiet chants of instruction floated gently from an open leather-bound book. The herbalist worked with steady patience, her movements measured and sure. Bundles of chamomile and sage were tied and stacked in neat rows. A faint breeze stirred dry petals scattered across the clay floor. Neighbors visited quietly, asking questions in low, respectful tones. Soft laughter spilled occasionally, blending gently with the hum of bees. The herbalist's touch was tender as she crushed leaves to fragrant dust. Glass vials caught glimmers of light, filled with oils that healed. The shop held the steady calm of ancient, patient knowledge. Evening approached, deepening shadows until lamps were lit, soft and mellow. Warmth from burning herbs filled the rooms with a quiet comfort. The world outside slowed, wrapped in the gentle embrace of night. A final handful of dried petals scattered gently as the shop closed. Peace settled like a blanket over door and window alike. The night promised rest, steady as the beating of calm hearts. We now float softly toward the gentle hush of a Roman schoolroom. Wooden benches sat quiet, their surfaces worn smooth by steady use. Scrolls and tablets lay ready for lessons in calm patience. The teacher's voice was low, steady, a melody of soft guidance. Children sat attentively, their eyes focused beneath mid-morning light. Ink traced slow, careful letters on waxed wooden boards beneath calm hands. The aroma of beeswax mingled faintly with sunwarmed stone and parchment. Outside, birds sang low, steady songs to accompany patient lessons. Small fingers turned pages cautiously, learning old letters with tender care. The room felt alive with soft whispers and the rustle of turning scrolls. Time moved gently here, measured by quiet steps and gentle voices. Sunlight poured through lattice windows, warming the calm interior. The chalkboard bore faint traces of letters practiced again and again. A faint tap of sandals reminded everyone to listen with steady grace. Morning's slow passage was marked by soft smiles and resting gazes. The schoolroom held the calm promise of quiet learning and growth. Evening came softly, shadows folding into the corners with tender hush. Faint murmurs of farewell lingered as the room emptied at last. The day's lessons settled like whispers into soft, fading light. Closing scrolls and chairs echoed one last steady, quiet breath. The schoolroom rested beneath a sky painted soft with twilight hues. Outside, the gentle night awaited, ready to cradle young dreams. Now we drift gently toward the steady sheet of a Roman road at dusk. Cobblestones lay smooth beneath faint footsteps and rolling wagon wheels. Horses stood quietly, their breaths steady, eyes half closed in calm light. Lanterns hung by doorways, casting mellow pools of soft illumination.
Trees lined the path, their leaves whispering faint secrets to the air.
Travelers rested at old inns, their voices hushed and tender. Trudging slowly, steady feet carried loads along the dusty roadway. A warm breeze stirred loose leaves, sending gentle eddies across stone. The sky deepened into shades of faint mauve and soft indigo. Distant hills held their outlines softly against the dimming light. A small child pointed at a star, as night gradually took hold. Evening's hush wrapped the road in tender, expectant stillness. Carts creaked faintly, their shadows long and stretched beside worn walls. A dog wandered slowly, its steps sure on the uneven surface. The scent of wild herbs mingled with earth beneath twilight's caress. A gentle cadence filled the quiet stretch where few voices traveled. The road held the calm history of countless gentle passings. Stars blinked softly overhead, steady in their ancient watch. The world seemed to pause, held tenderly by the soft night's arms. Lamp light flickered through windows, hinting at resting souls inside. The breeze whispered softly, hushing the dust and the slow pace. Time folded into itself on this gentle, winding Roman way. Let us now sail softly down to the calm wake of a Roman river ferry. Oars dipped quietly in rhythm against the peaceful flow of water. Wooden beams creaked faintly as the ferry slipped effortlessly downstream. Passengers sat calmly on benches, shaded by a linen canopy. The breeze carried faint scents of fresh water and distant meadows. Birds circled lazily, their wings tracing soft patterns on pale sky. Water ripples caught sunlight like scattered drops of melted gold. A child leaned carefully over the edge, fingers skimming the still surface. Faint voices hummed gentle songs, blending with splash of steady rowing. Leaves drifted down softly, tender footprints on the slow river. The ferry's glide held steady, a slow pulse beneath the thinking sky. Oarsmen moved with patient grace, their muscles folded smoothly with the waves. Along the banks, willows bent low, tenderly brushing the water's skin. The ferry carried its cargo with tender, ancient care and ease. Mist began to rise in soft fingers from the cool evening river. Lanterns aboard shone like tiny stars reflected in calm, liquid dark. The gentle rocking soothed eyes and spirit, inviting quiet rest. Evening deepened softly outside, wrapping the ferry in hushed warmth. A dog lay quietly, its breathing steady with the water's slow breath. Quietness settled deeply, stretched wide across water and sky alike. The ferry drifted onward, cradled beneath an endless serene night. We now flowed gently toward the resting calm of a Roman stable. Wooden beams framed shadowed corners, a place of shelter and quiet. Horses stood calmly, coats gleaming faintly in the late afternoon light. Straw beds smelled sweet and dry beneath their steady forms. A stable hand moved slowly, brushing manes with tender, rhythmic strokes. The air was filled with the faint scent of hay and earth. Soft snorts and gentle nickers moved through the warm, still atmosphere. Buckets, filled with clean water, sat waiting for thirsty creatures. In the shadows, a cat curled lazily, warm and contented. Slow footsteps echoed softly along the stable's worn floorboards. A small boy watched quietly, eyes bright with patient fascination. Tools hung neatly on walls, ready to serve with steady hands. The sun dipped low, casting long, soft shadows through open doors. In settling light, the stable breathed a calm, everlasting peace. Night crept gently over the landscape, stretching a quiet veil wide. The horses shifted slowly, their calm breathing filling the stillness. A breeze carried the faint scent of pine and fresh-cut wood. The world outside was held softly in a cradle of darkness. The stable remained a sanctuary of steady warmth and steady hearts. Soon, all rested under a sky littered softly with distant stars. The animals and humans alike drifted into soft, peaceful slumber. The stable stood timeless, a quiet refuge from passing days. Now we drift toward the peaceful warmth of a Roman bakery at dawn. The scent of baking bread mingled with cool morning air. Flour dust lingered faintly, catching early sunlight in tiny clouds. A baker's hands moved steadily, folding and shaping with tired grace. Earthen ovens glowed softly with warm, comforting ember light. Bread loaves rested quietly on wooden racks, their crust golden and firm. A child sat nearby, watching the slow magic of growth and warmth. Quiet voices offered gentle encouragement amid the hum of preparation. Large clay jars held honey, figs, and nuts to sweeten the bread. The kitchen filled slowly with the soft sounds of morning labor. Outside, birds called faintly, weaving towels of sound in the cool air. Flour covered the baker's cloak like morning frost, soft and white. Smoke curled faintly from the chimney with steady rise and fall. The bakery's door stood open, inviting the village into gentle comfort. Sunlight streamed in warm, pouring steady gold over dusty stones. The day's first bread was pulled from oven heat with quiet pride. The smell promised a slow, satisfying start to any morning meal. Neighbors gathered silently, exchanging soft smiles and quiet greetings. The rhythm of daily baking was a comforting, mellow heartbeat. Baskets were filled tenderly, ready for the soft stirrings of the market. The village began anew, wrapped in the hum of warm ovens. Soft footsteps approached, drawn by the still, steady promise of bread. Peace flourished in the kitchen's calm, steady spaces and gentle light. We float now toward the serene presence of a Roman bath garden. Fountains gurgled quietly amidst carefully trimmed hedges and flower beds. Stone benches offered rest beneath ample shade of sprawling trees. Soft petals drifted lazily onto still, reflective pools of water. Gentle footfalls echoed faintly across mosaic paths patterned with calm design. The scent of jasmine and rose mingled gently in fragrant air. Butterflies floated with measured grace among tender blooms and soft grasses. Quiet conversations blended with steady, gentle trickling of cool streams. Visitors moved slowly, savoring the peaceful rhythm of evening calm. A gardener pruned with steady hands, revealing new green shoots and buds. The sun slipped low, painting the scene with hushed hues of gold. Leaves fluttered faintly, like shy whispers on a muted breeze. In the distance, the soft murmur of water filled the stillness. Stone statues looked on with serene, time-worn grace and quiet dignity. The garden's calm was a sanctuary, soft as a whispered secret. Slow shadows lengthened, coaxing the day toward gentle evening rest. The night awaited with tender arms, ready to hold the secret garden. Calm settled over every leaf, stone and drop of water alike. Stars peeked through branches, casting faint silver on peaceful paths. Nature's quiet chorus sang softly beneath the vast, steady sky. The garden breathed deeply, cradled in the arms of time. Footsteps faded slowly, leaving only the calm song of night. Now we drift softly to the steady rhythm of a Roman fish market. Wooden stands displayed gentle heaps of shining scales and glistening fins. Faint mist clung to baskets filled with soft, delicate treasures from the sea. Fishmongers moved slowly, their hands working with practiced grace and care. Seagulls floated overhead, their calls gentle among the steady marketplace hum. Buckets of water rippled quietly as fish were rinsed tenderly. Faces showed calm concentration, eyes steady on the morning's slow progress. Baskets lined with leaves held small shining shells and tender seaweed. The air was cool and filled with scent of salt and fresh water. Voices rose in calm exchange, bartering gently beneath pale awnings. Steps scattered lightly on wooden planks moistened by the slow tide. A small dog snuggled near crates, safe in the calm bustle. Sunlight filtered softly through canvas, casting faint moving patterns. Slow tides moved outside the market, echoing the still pulse of life. A fisherman's hat sat beside fresh catch, brim edged by light sea spray. The market's steady rhythm was a song of life, unhurried and sure. As the day melted onward, baskets emptied with quiet, steady care. The market wound down gently, voices softening with passing hours. Evening's tender light folded the scene in warmly fading hues. Lanterns glimmered faintly as stalls were tidied with slow, sure hands. The market rested beneath a calm sky filled with distant stars.
A cool breeze carried with it the faint whisper of the sea's song.
We now float toward the quiet tranquility of a Roman olive press. Heavy stones turned slowly over ripe olives pressed with care. The air hummed faintly with the smell of fresh oil and warm earth. Workers moved methodically, steady hands gathering freshly picked fruit. Sunlight caught on smooth marble, casting mellow glimmers on machinery. The press groaned softly, a timeless song of gentle transformation. Buckets sat low, filled with glowing golden drops of steady harvest. Olive leaves rustled quietly, littering the ground with whispered promises. The peaceful work was a dance of ancient tender rhythms and calm. A small boy watched with fascination, hands folded and steady eyes. The stone wheels turned slowly, patient as the passing seasons. Bottles lined benches, catching soft afternoon light in quiet pride. The smell of oil mixed faintly with herbs drying nearby in bundles. Outside, the sound of bees hummed in the distant orchards with ease. Cool water splashed gently as tools were washed with tender care. Slow conversation rose softly amid the steady, measured progress. The olive press rested now, cradling the essence of warm labor. Twilight deepened softly, casting peaceful shadows on the worn stones. Lanterns were lit, their glow warm and steady in the cooling air. The world held its breath beneath a soft, reassuring night sky. The press awaited another day, another turn of gentle time's wheel. Slow footsteps drifted away, leaving calm behind like a quiet tide. We drift now toward the tender hush of a Roman wool workshop. Soft wool lay stacked in mottled heaps of cream, gray, and brown. Faint scents of lanolin and earth filled the warm, enclosed space. Spinners moved slowly, their fingers weaving threads with steady precision. The rhythmic hum of spindles spun a gentle song of peaceful craft. Dyes prepared quietly in bowls bore muted hues of plant and earth. Bundles of dyed fiber rested patiently in the low amber light. Faint wool fibers floated gently like slow falling snow through sunbeams. The steady motion of hands shaped soft